We're going to give a couple more minutes here. You all should be seeing our opening slide, the resolving traffic and parking issues in your smart city. We're going to put everything on mute for just a couple of minutes because the numbers are jumping up. We actually have over 200 people registered, so we're going to give them time to get on. But you'll hear us come back on in a couple of minutes. Thanks, folks. Hi, everybody, again. Just for those of you who've already heard me, welcome again. The numbers are jumping up. We're going to give exactly 2 more minutes, or 90 seconds, to let more folks come on, and then we'll start right in, okay? Thanks. Hi, everybody, and welcome around the world. This is Greg Curtin. I'm the founder and CEO of Civic Resource Group. I'll be opening up the webinar today. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We're actually getting a number of people joining as we're speaking, and that's okay. We actually have nearly 200 registrants for this from literally around the world, from the Middle East, Europe, South America, North America, so it's truly a global webinar. So happy 1st of December, the last month of 2015, which was one of the biggest years on record for smart cities, and that's going to be one of the themes of our webinar today. I want to introduce our panelists today. Again, I'm Greg Curtin, founder and CEO of Civic Resource Group. I also sit on the World Economic Forum their Global Council on the Future of Government, where we have been focusing on smart cities over the last term, because smart cities, smart government, smart citizens have become one of the focus points out there in terms of the digital revolution. We're going to also have Matt Wong, Civic Resource Group CTO, who will walk through the actual CivicConnect platform and the solution implementation. We have Jerry Rhodes from our partner, Amazon Web Services, AWS. We've been working very closely with AWS to deliver these cloud solutions in a replicable, scalable fashion, so whatever we do with one city, we can take to another city promptly. Jerry Rhodes will be speaking about the AWS platform, cloud solutions, security, and the like. And then finally, we're really pleased to have Stephanie Schuch, who's actually the person on the ground, our senior program manager from Civic San Diego. They're the customer that have implemented this innovative smart parking and augmented reality wayfinding solution. So we're really happy to have Stephanie Schuch with us today. I'm going to jump right in here and set the tone and the theme for the webinar. While we are going to specifically be looking at a smart parking and augmented reality wayfinding solution, I want to put it in the context of smart cities, smart government, where things are going. Just over the last literally 2 or 3 months, I specifically, with some of my team members, just came back from the World Smart City Expo in Barcelona, the largest smart city expo out there. A month before that, we participated in Smart Cities Week in Washington, D.C. With my work with the World Economic Forum, we've been looking at smart city implementations literally across the globe, what's new, what's out there. And I think the good news is there's a huge appetite for smart city solutions. It's really picking up. The technologies are there. Data are opening up. The appetite, the budget, the willingness to get all that done is out there. That's the real good news. Also, what we've been looking at is lots of really good technical solutions, excellent technologies, excellent data management solutions, and the like. However, what's not happening is there hasn't been a lot of connectivity of these solutions, and especially in parking and urban mobility, which is the focus of today. Most of the solutions are really one-off applications, or really owned and implemented by some of the biggies, Yelp, Google, and the like. Very little connecting of multiple applications and smart services in true smart cities and smart cities initiatives. And that's really going to be the opportunity today that we're going to talk about. And what we do, specifically at Civic Resource Group, you have on the screen now our CivicConnect platform. And the CivicConnect platform is specifically meant to do that connecting of data, connecting of applications, connecting of smart services to create true smart city initiatives. Focusing specifically on parking, and that's one of the key pain points with cities today. If you look at the slide right now, research has shown recently that 30% or more of all traffic congestion in cities and all of the things that come out of that traffic congestion, pollution, lost economic activity, and the like, is caused by people looking for parking spaces. Very simple problem that's very complex to solve. Other research, interesting statistics. By 2020, it's predicted that there will be nearly 1 million sensor-enabled spaces in the world. That's a huge opportunity for us to think about. Those sensors might be in-ground sensors, might be above parking space lighting sensors. That's tied to the Internet of Things rolling out. Huge opportunity, again, to tie in data and sensing in the environment to create parking and urban mobility solutions. The smart parking data opportunities, for instance, data around public data, parking data, private vendor data, payment data. And really the opportunity is, as we have up here, is the connectivity opportunity. We like to think about this as parking for a purpose. Solving a parking issue is simply one part of really a smart city solution. People park for a purpose. They go to events, they're going shopping, they're going to work, they're dropping kids off somewhere, they're doing daily errands, they're possibly parking to start their commute to work. Parking is not an endpoint, it's the beginning of something. And that's the solution we're going to talk about today that San Diego has implemented, which is creating a truly integrated and unified parking solution that connects events, opportunities, and things happening in a true smart city opportunity. And I'm going to hand it over now to Stephanie Shuk, who's going to talk about the actual San Diego experience. Stephanie, are you there, ready to take it away?
Yes, thank you so much, Greg. Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for joining. My name is Stephanie Shuk, and I apologize. One second. I am the project manager for the Civic San Diego. And to give you a little bit of background on Civic San Diego, we are a nonprofit owned by the City of San Diego, and really our primary function is to be in charge of the wind down of redevelopment efforts within the city. We also administer the parking district for downtown San Diego, and that's my primary function. So I've been tasked to kind of solve the parking problem as Greg was talking about earlier. And just to give you a little bit of background on our parking app, so about a year and a half ago, we had identified, working with the community, that we wanted to develop and launch a mobile app or mobile website for parking within San Diego. And there are a lot of parking apps out there, which I'm sure you all know. But we wanted to make this community focused. We wanted to make it local, and we wanted it to be started from scratch and have a real custom feel. So we reached out and we selected CRG to be our developer. And the screenshot in front of you shows what the app looks as it stands today. The name is ParkItDTSD. It's a URL, so ParkItDTSD.com. To give you a little bit of background on that name too, we actually did a contest with the community, asked people to vote on the name, and this name won overwhelmingly. So it's ParkItDTSD. And the main goal, as you can see, this is a marketing collateral, is to be the new go-to parking resource for navigating downtown San Diego's parking options. It's very simple to start. Again, this is just the first phase. We really just wanted to provide this resource to the community, people coming to downtown San Diego or living in downtown San Diego or just visiting, to just help them navigate parking throughout the city. Downtown is a big city. There are a lot of parking options that people just didn't know about, so we wanted to help to present that awareness of the parking options within San Diego. Again, this is a group project within my organization, but with also people in the community, partners as well. Again, I work for Civic San Diego. This is also a collaborative effort with the Downtown Community Parking District, and with all the neighborhood groups as well. The next slide. So today I'm going to talk about the key components of the parking app as it stands, and then also go into some of our ideas and thoughts for next future phases. So the screenshots in front of you show, again, some of the simple sort of interfaces that we have currently. Again, it's a more of a neighborhood focus. Downtown San Diego, I'm not sure if you're all familiar, has 8 distinct neighborhoods. Each are unique with different parking needs and conditions. So when I was working with CRG to develop this app, I reached out and made sure that the community was involved in the process, because Little Italy has a different parking need than, say, the convention center or village. So we worked with the community to develop these sort of custom features and an integration with the community to make sure that they're all captured on the app. But again, it's very simple, so even if you're familiar with downtown San Diego, or if you're just visiting, it's your first time, you can use this app, and it's really easy and simple to navigate through. Again, as Greg had mentioned, people don't really seek out to go parking. That's not their final destination. They park and then they go on about their business. So we wanted to make this easy and simple, and CRG did a really great job of making that easy to navigate through. So essentially the thought is, you're going down to Little Italy, you click on the Little Italy section of the map, and then it launches into the detail, and it provides you with some of those parking options. That's kind of the thought process involved in this interface as it shows here. Next slide. And then so again, the sort of idea of the user experience is once you identified your parking location, you then click on the detail. And this shows, a lot of static information. I worked with the parking operators to gather this information myself. Again, there's so many different parking apps out there, but I wanted to start from scratch. I wanted to work and make sure that not only am I invested in this, but the parking operators are as well, and so that they were able to really own it and really provide, have a vested interest in making sure that this data is as strong as it is, because it's not only helping the community and being a resource for the community, but it's also a way for these parking operators to help enhance their business as well. So we gathered a lot of static information. As you can see in the screenshots in front of you, it lists things such as the parking operator, location, address, lot type, hours of operation, the rates, whether or not there's monthly parking, and the payment types. However, a couple of our lots, our parking facilities in downtown San Diego also have a really unique feature. Again, this kind of stands out among the other parking apps out there, that there's real-time parking availability. So we have infrastructure installed in a couple of the locations throughout downtown where the parking availability data is transmitted into the app directly, so it shows how much availability is there in real time. We hope to grow that to multiple or more locations, or ideally as many locations as we can throughout downtown. But again, this is something that we worked with not only the operators and the facilities that had that infrastructure, but also CRG to make that happen. Again, kind of focusing on the another really great component, I guess, of our app is, because we are neighborhood focused, community focused, we wanted to make sure that there was a feature on the app that showed, what type or certain events or messages that are related to the neighborhood on the app, especially as it relates to parking. So a lot of times, especially in a big city, say Fifth Avenue is closed down due to an event, or there's a big construction project going on, and all the parking within that vicinity of that construction is wiped out. So we wanted to make sure that information is captured on the app. Again, this is something that's unique to our app compared to the others, and we wanted to make sure that we continue to work with the community to capture that information and convey it directly on the app. And that's something that I manage directly, and future phases are going to really strengthen this neighborhood community focus, and again, working with the community to really understand what we can do to not only automate this neighborhood focus, but also to really strengthen it. And then, so that's kind of an overview of the parking app as it stands. I kind of wanted to get into, what our ideas and thoughts are as far as the next phase. As Greg had mentioned, we want to not only make this a parking app, but we want to turn it into a mobility app, a one-stop shop for making downtown San Diego, and maybe even all of the city of San Diego, this smart city, so that it has an app that includes all of these different connecting features. So some of the ideas that we have that we're working on with CRG currently, again, really, first of all, enhancing and strengthening our real-time data, reaching out to other facilities to include the infrastructure that transfers that data to the app directly, and also including a dynamic pricing component. So, some parking locations change their pricing hourly, and we want to capture that, because I think that is very, very strong and very useful to someone coming down to park. And so we want to understand and explore opportunities to include this dynamic pricing without making it too labor intensive, but also really being able to show that component. That's kind of one of our short-term next phase projects. We also want to link and incorporate, existing third-party city services that are existing within downtown San Diego. Those things are things such as the city bike share, which I know a lot of other cities have a city bike share that is run by a third party. And also we're in the final stages of launching an on-demand community shuttle, also run by a third party. Both of those city services have their own standalone app, but we want to integrate and incorporate, embed, I guess, if you will, into our parking or mobility app, those existing applications, so that, again, we can make this a one-stop shop for somebody navigating throughout downtown San Diego. Also, the City of San Diego just recently installed new smart parking meters, and in addition to including things such as a mobile pay option, We also want to take the data to understand and make available or make as a resource the variable pricing components, or even just demonstrating open spaces or utilization on a particular block or in a particular area within downtown San Diego. Again, making the whole parking experience easy for somebody coming downtown or parking downtown. And then finally, we want to work with the local businesses. Again, nobody's final destination is to park. People usually park and then they go on about their business. So we want to make sure that the whole parking experience is streamlined and easy. So we want to work with the local businesses to partner with them to demonstrate things. Say you park and then you want to go and find the nearest coffee shop, or you park and then you want to go and find the nearest deals for a holiday shopping. And we want to have the app demonstrate that to make it, again, a very easy user experience for someone coming downtown. And then finally, I know that Greg and Matt are going to get into this in detail. The city of San Diego, or downtown San Diego, we just installed as recently as last month. It was our final stages, a new wayfinding system. And the wayfinding systems is a great tried and tested a component of city navigation for any city, and we know ours is brand new. It's very crisp and clean looking, but we've been exploring, we've been chatting with CRG to take it to the next level, and so incorporate technology and making it not only just something that's standalone within the city or downtown San Diego, but also turning it and making it more of a smart city idea and component. And again, we would connect it to our parking app, so that the whole user experience, you park and then you're trying to navigate throughout downtown, and you can use your app and to look at the wayfinding to understand where you can go. So again, merging and putting together and connecting all of these different components to make our app a urban mobility option, I think, is our goal. And again, we're going to be working with CRG to make that a reality. So that's my presentation, and I'm happy to answer additional questions at the end of the presentation. Thank you.
Stephanie, this is great. Thanks so much. Now I think everybody can see why San Diego is such a perfect example of starting small, building into a complete smart city solution, as you said, Stephanie, a real connected urban mobility solution, and we're excited about the expansion. We're going to hand this over to Matt in a second. I do want to take one brief pause here for everybody. The numbers are still going up. People are still registering. This is great. I should have mentioned at the very beginning, we're seeing questions coming in. If any of you have specific questions, you can just use the go-to webinar chat line. We'll get to those at the end. We'll have about 15 minutes or so, and we'll try to answer as many of them as possible. We also are recording this, and we'll make the presentation and the recording available to everybody afterwards in case you have to leave early or want to share it with others. So please keep the questions coming. We're already seeing some real good ones coming in. I'm just prepping you, Stephanie, Matt, and Jerry. We'll have a number of questions for each of you. But Stephanie, that was great. Thanks so much, and a perfect segue now into Matt Wong, our CTO for Civic Resource Group, who's actually going to walk you through the actual use case, a day in the life of a mobile citizen in San Diego, and actually demonstrate some of the technology itself. Take it away, Matt.
Perfect. Thank you again, Stephanie. It's just great to work with an innovative partner, especially the visionary piece that you have in linking city services, other things around the community into a parking app. That is just really exciting for us to work on. So I believe that we're going to be showing the slides for the storyboard. So what I'm going to walk through is a storyboard of what I'm going to be demoing, so a day in the life of. So I'm going to walk through the storyboard first and then show sort of the highlights of the current app and where we're taking the app forward to. So in the storyboard here, we have one of my IT engineers, actually, Lauren. She's excited to go to her brother's graduation. She's about to ready to go to get onto the road, but as human nature calls it, she's not going to do much planning. So she's going to jump right into the car and start heading down to San Diego. So she's heading down to San Diego from the office. It looks like she's leaving work a little bit early, so I have to check her time sheet. She arrives at the parking garage, and now she runs into problems. So she sees that now the campus parking is full. She's in trouble. What do? I better go and launch the CivicSD parking app to take a look to see where else I can go. And what's the most poignant about the app is that I really want to look for availability of spaces, right? Because I just reached the parking lot and it's full, and now I'm in trouble because I need to be at that event at that particular time. So she opens up the app and she looks at that, and then she finds parking, and I'm going to show that later. And this storyboard jumps sort of to the next step. She jumps out of the car, and as we were talking about, she's really looking for a particular location. The parking garage is not her ultimate destination. So now now this is where we need to get into the wayfinding aspect of this. Now fast forward into the enhancements that we're in process of developing for Civic San Diego. She looks at this signpost and she realizes that this is a new wayfinding system by the City of San Diego with Civic San Diego, and she turns on the augmented reality app at that signpost. Now at this particular signpost, everything is very, very micro-local. In other words, that the app knows where you are, specifically at that signpost and what's around you, and it's going to actually help you wayfind to the location that you're actually going to look for. Okay. So now she switches into the AR view, and the AR view gives a visual pointing representation of where she needs to go. So this is where you can see a little icon on the screen that there's a little overlay that she's looking down the street, and it's helping her merge this augmented reality mode into real world locations relative to that signpost, and helps guide her to the event. So she uses that. She finds San Diego City College and taps on the little man. If you see the little man on the very bottom right corner, that is the sort of call to action button that will help guide her to walk through the streets directionally to San Diego City College. And you did get a pointing cue as well as she's walking. Hopefully she's not looking at the display all the time as she's crossing the street. Last but not least, she successfully arrives at her brother's ceremony in time without a second to lose, and she doesn't miss the event. So that is the walkthrough. Now I'll be switching to the actual live demo. And this is the actual Civic San Diego parking application that Stephanie had talked about. I'm just going to go through some of the highlights of it. On the first startup landing page, you can see that it's designed to be extremely simple, and that's by design, by choice, because when you're actually a mobile user, you only want to really have your focus and attention to a few items. And as you're traveling, it's really all about find my parking. So you have three options on the screen. I was down in San Diego the other day where I was driving around, and I wanted to geolocate the parking garages that were actually where I was at that particular time. So that's the near me button. By neighborhood, as Stephanie had mentioned, there's many different neighborhoods in San Diego. There's Gaslamp District where there's lots of eateries. There's Petco Park. There's all sorts of different areas that you would want to actually target to go to. So that's by neighborhood. And last but not least, by places. So let's say if I'm looking for a Ruth Chris Steakhouse, and I know that it's a very, very congested area, I want to find the nearest parking garage to that particular area. So I'm going to jump into them by neighborhoods just to quickly go through the use case here. And let's say that I happen to be in East Village, so I'm looking at East Village, and here are my parking garages on there. And the key feature here again is I want to look for that real-time information for, let's say, a particular garage on what are the availability of spaces at that location. So if I select that one, you can see right now I have an availability of 226 spots out of a capacity of 1,000. and it's updated right now at 9:35 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So that's giving you the real time, real data coming in for one of the garages in the area as we speak. Okay. So now, since Lauren has now found her spot in the parking garage, now she needs to find her way to the event. So I'm going to move my phone over to one side a little bit here. And I'm going to start my AR application. And here are my signposts. So I'm going to spoof the signpost a bit. So that I'm going to take the first one on Broadway and Park. Turn this to the side here so I can get it out of the way a bit. Okay. And now I'm going to invoke my AR view. And you see, I'm not actually in San Diego, as you notice. I'm just using a picture to simulate that. But you can see that I'm now pointing around the area where the little points of interest and icons are popping up. And so here's San Diego College. And if I hit the little man on the bottom, it'll show that which directionally I should be hitting by foot to get to that location. So as I move down, I'm going the wrong way. It's telling me to go backwards. Okay. Coming back out of AR mode. We have all the other features of a standard sort of wayfinding app where you can get more information about a particular location. This is the less sexy stuff, but yet important. There's a flashlight view that gives you more of a traditional map view of where things are located. So I can turn that around, see my little flashlight. And last but not least, if you had been a Boy Scout in the past, we also have a compass view that will also help you geolocate a particular location as well. Okay, last but not least, trying to tie into other city services. Now you see that I put up a signpost for, this happens to be the MTS, the bus service. And you can see my phone is on the right-hand side of the screen. The bus sign that I'm looking at is on the left-hand and the side of the screen. So when I'm looking at the sign now, I can then get more specific information for that particular city service. I can choose Espanol to change the language. I can change back to English. And then again, I could also pull real-time information back into the system. If I touch the little eye on the right-hand side, I can then get departures data for when the next bus is coming. On the very bottom is this typical timetable information for planning purposes, but typically when I'm actually in that particular location, I'm looking for that information immediate at my fingertips without having to search through lots of URLs or websites to get access to that. So again, very hyper, micro, local information to the point of where you're actually a mobile citizen, working, playing, walking around the whole city environment. Okay. At this point, I'm going to be handing off the mic to Mr. Jerry Rhodes, who would be describing the Amazon infrastructure that we've built this system on top of, and he'll be describing the Amazon services and that helped us make this application realizable.
Thank you, Matt. My name is Jerry Rhodes. I'm a solutions architect with Amazon Web Services, and I'm going to speak to you a little bit about Amazon Web Services today. Next slide. So what is Amazon Web Services? Well, we are a cloud that provides a very highly reliable, scalable, low-cost infrastructure platform. And we have over 1 million active customers, and we're operating in more than 190 countries around the world. There are many benefits to using us, such as low cost, elasticity, and agility. We're open and flexible, we're secure, and we have a global reach. Next slide, please. So what sets us apart? Well, experience. We've been doing this since 2006. One thing that Amazon.com had found that they were very good at right around 2006 were running large infrastructures to host the web application Amazon.com. In doing so, we found that we had a new customer to work with, and that would be developers and businesses such as CRG. The next on the list is our service breadth and depth. We have over 50 services to support any type of cloud workload. And our pace of innovation, we're very customer focused at Amazon Web Services. And matter of fact, 90 to 95% of our product roadmaps are determined by our customers. And our global footprint. We operate in 11 regions around the world, and those regions consist of a cluster of data centers. We like to call them availability zones, as they are virtual data centers. They're multiple physical brick-and-mortar buildings that would make up a virtual data center or an availability zone. And we have 53 edge locations around the world. It's very important when you're delivering content around the world, especially with a mobile application. You don't want to have any latency or lag time, so you want to get the content as close to the user as possible. And our pricing philosophy. We've had over 50 proactive price reductions up till today, and we haven't had any competitive reason to do so. What happens is we identify efficiencies in our operation, and we pass those savings back to our customers. And lastly, the ecosystem. We have the AWS Marketplace, which has over 2,300 products available for purchase and download, and we have about 800 or over 800 software vendors providing those marketplace products. This is a map of our global infrastructure, and on it, it has the 11 regions that I spoke of, 4 of them being in the United States, and the 30 availability zones, which are part of those regions that span the world, and the 53 edge locations. Being that we have a global infrastructure, it makes it possible to deliver an application not only just in San Diego, but you can deliver that application in places like Florida or Ohio, New York, or even across the Atlantic over into places like Spain. Next slide, please. One takeaway that I always like to explain to folks is that your data stays where you put it. So if you put data in, say, our US East region, it doesn't get replicated to the US West region or outside of the United States unless you, the developer, decide to copy that data across availability zones or across regions. So the data stays where you put it unless you move it. Next slide, please. And this is a slide that demonstrates our security and compliance. We hold a number of them, SOC 1, 2, and 3. Others you may be familiar with ISO 27001, PCI DSS. So if you take credit cards, that's a certification you definitely must have, as well as our work with the federal government. We have FedRAMP and FISMA, as well as we are able to hold ITAR compliant data as well. Some of the other workloads that we've deployed that fall within a compliance framework, such as Sarbanes-Oxley or HIPAA with the healthcare folks, as well as a lot of stuff with government, the FISMA, FedRAMP, and more importantly with the Department of Defense, we can handle DICAP workloads as well. So the one key takeaway with this slide is security is job one at AWS, and we are constantly working with our partners and our customers to obtain new certifications as they come out, as well as to constantly standard audit so that we maintain our existing certifications. Next slide. And with that, I guess we'll open it up to questions.
Yeah, let me Let me jump in here. This is Greg again. Thanks, Jerry. Thanks, Jerry, Matt, and Stephanie. Beautiful kind of soup to nuts, end to end, how to actually deliver not only a smart point solution, but really a smart city, a smart government, a smart citizen platform that will lead to smart cities. And again, that's the purpose of this webinar today, is not to simply talk about the technology, not to talk about the business need, but to pull it all together so that we really are creating foundations and solutions that can be expanded, replicated, and tie in more than a very specific need, in this case, parking. Back to that idea of parking with a purpose. Stephanie said it well, Matt said it well. People park and then they do something. That's not the end of a business need, that's the beginning of an experience. So that was excellent. What I'm going to do right now is we've got a slew of questions, far too many for us to answer here. Apologize in advance, although we will get back to everybody that's asked the questions. And I'm going to put a few questions out to our panelists and get them answered by Stephanie, Matt, and Jerry in the next 15 minutes or so. We're right on time, which is a nice thing also these days. So what I'm going to do is maybe put this out to Matt first. There's a question about, can you integrate, for instance, a pre-existing parking app or other existing apps? And I'm going to preface that a little bit. For instance, Stephanie mentioned that in the San Diego experience, there will be, for instance, a bike share app that with data that they want to connect into this, kind of hub of urban mobility. So, Matt, maybe a couple of comments on that. Is it easy to integrate other existing solutions that a city may have already invested in?
So that's a good question. I think that if you look at the use cases, predominantly the popular use cases of what people want to do in terms of traveling, in terms of sightseeing, in terms of looking for city services, transit, traffic. We have deliberately built the CivicConnect platform to manage that type of data. So we've taken a lot of care on curating the data schema to support those types of functionality in terms of city services, commerce in the city, and traveling and mobility around the city. So if that's the use case that is of interest, then I would imagine that the data structures are all in place, that it's basically like lemonade, just add water. In this case, you're just adding data. So if you're adding the bike share locations, the location model is there, the bike share data, the data scheme is there to support that, and that gets exposed to the client level, whether it's mobile web, websites. So in that case, again, devil's in the details, but I would say that the majority of those use cases would be supported.
Great, thanks, Matt. And again, I think that is the opportunity, thinking about that connectivity opportunity, thinking beyond just the first business need onto connecting various business needs. I got an interesting question. I'm going to bounce around between technical and policy and marketing. Stephanie, I think this one's for you, although I can also address some of this. Good question. There's thousands of apps out there. Apps are competing for market share and just people's mind share. So how, for instance, do you get the word out, and maybe, Stephanie, specifically in your case, how do you get the word out about what does start as an app but is going to grow into, as you kind of call it, a hub for urban mobility? And then I can respond to that as well with some of our other client experiences. But maybe just a couple of thoughts from you, Stephanie, on really getting the word out about this excellent application.
Yeah, that's a great question. In fact, I'm working on it on a regular basis to try to market the app. We launched it and it was a very successful launch. We work the community stakeholders upon launch to get the word out, and it was very successful. But the challenge is to continue to make it successful on a regular basis. So while it's really great once we hit the ground, it's me actively going out to the community and working with other neighborhood associations or groups or businesses to talk to them. And again, since I'm on the ground floor, I have these relationships, asking them to feature this as the go-to parking app for downtown San Diego. Again, there's a lot of local people here who have other apps, but I feel that with a collaborative effort to kind of market it and ask them to feature this as the go-to app, it's been successful. But it is something we work on diligently and on an ongoing basis, and we try to explore options to continue to make it the primary app for parking. One thing that has been really successful too, because it's not a typical native app, it is a link, it's a URL. We've been able to put it or feature it on a lot of city service websites. So let's just say you're coming downtown for jury duty. Well, it's going to be on the jury duty's website, so it's a link. So that makes it really easy to market. Or let's just say you're coming down to the convention center for a convention. Well, it's going to be on the convention center's website as well. So, working these relationships, working with the city and existing city nonprofit groups has really helped us. And then we're going to continue to do and explore other options as well.
Excellent. Yeah, and I was just going to support that. I mean, that was perfect, kind of your strategy. As we're working with other customers of all sorts and sizes, it's really about tying in and integrating with other marketing and promotional aspects, making the augmented reality app or the smart app part of other programs and campaigns going out there, as opposed to trying to stand alone and become something on its own. So that's great. That's great, Stephanie. Got a question here, and this is for Matt and Jerry. I'm deciding it's for Matt and Jerry. A lot of questions on, great app, great solution, wonderful implementation in the city of San Diego. How replicable is the solution, and how scalable is it? So, for instance, can we take it and literally put it in another city in Europe, in Asia, in North America, and South America? Can it be a larger or a smaller city? Can it be done on a regional basis? And I want to, maybe Jerry, give you a thought of that in terms of replicability and scalability from the cloud, the AWS cloud, and then maybe Matt, you can comment on that replicability and scalability from the actual platform itself.
Okay, right. This is Jerry.
Go ahead, Jerry. Why don't you start? Sorry.
Okay, I'll make mine quick and simple and pass it on to you, Matt. AWS has a global infrastructure around the world, and we're constantly growing it as well. So we're going to be opening new regions both up in Ohio, London in the UK, as well as in India, and a second region within China. So we have the global infrastructure available around the world. So I had heard South America. We have a region in Sao Paulo, Brazil, as well as we have Frankfurt, the EU, and coming online next year, London in the UK, regions that can then serve your European customers, as well as a region coming up in India. Currently, Frankfurt serves India pretty well. However, we will have an Indian reservation region coming up, and China. So can't really talk about the portability of the application. That's where Matt will come in, but we do have the global infrastructure, and our regions are the same throughout the world. So we have the infrastructure to host the application.
Thanks, Jerry. In terms of portability of the application to a different geography, so everything is actually based on a model I mentioned about that. The database schema had been well vetted across a number of private and public parking garages. So the database schema, I believe we've captured all the requirements and data elements that would make it relevant for any parking district, so that the data sets would match almost immediately. And all the interfaces are done through web services, and so it's very, very clean lines of, import and exporting of that type of data into the system. The mapping system is based on Google Maps, which is quite pervasive across all regions. There are some geographic regions that avoid using Google Maps. That would then need to be changed out. But all the mapping technology, the base map technology is based on Google Maps. So if your area supports Google Maps, then that part wouldn't need to change as well. In terms of the front end design, the color schema, the logos, all that had been deliberately architected so that it could be changed out through your particular logos and color schema and all that, so that it'll give you that type of look and flavor for that particular geography. So if you're in a region that likes green, then the app can be changed to green quite easily.
Beautiful, beautiful. So in short, it is, from both the technical, the cloud, and the application architecture, it's highly portable, very replicable, and absolutely scalable, especially working with AWS on that. So looking at those opportunities, great. I got, again, a ton of questions. I'm going to pick one out here. This is an interesting one, and maybe have Stephanie, some thoughts from you on this, but then Matt and Jerry. There are a number of questions around safety with using mobile applications, certainly for parking and mobility applications in car, and some concerns recently with some of the activities around the world in terms of people holding and using phones to photograph things. They're, very timely types of questions. And so one of the questions was leading to, have we looked at, and I can answer this, yes. Have we looked at and are we considering tying the data feeds and the actual services into other types of devices, for instance, or other types of channels, for instance, in-vehicle, in-dash, where we can get to hands-free types of experiences. And certainly in the parking situation, we've looked at that from a technical standpoint. But I'm also interested, Stephanie, have you heard those concerns and ideas, for instance, on the policy side, or the, in terms of making decisions around that? And then maybe Matt, you can discuss after Stephanie a little bit about the technical aspects of that and the plans going forward.
Yeah, I mean, somewhat we did talk about that in terms of the parking app, and that's why we really like the fact that it's a mobile responsive website, so you can access it on your your desktop at home to really identify where you want to park, and then that kind of eliminates a little bit of the safety concerns, say, if you're driving. But we haven't really brought together the stakeholders in a while, because as we really enhance our data and make it more dynamic, you want it to be in real time, so you're going to be obviously in your car and you want the best data at that point in time, so that definitely is going to create some kind of safety concern. So I do believe it's going to come up as we reach out to more of the community, but for right now it really hasn't come up. But just because this isn't the only app that does that, so that's not why people are sort of singling this out for right now. But it is something that we want to bring to the forefront when we have continuing conversations with the community.
Matt, maybe some comments on the technical side?
Absolutely. So on the technical side, it was kind of timely. I just attended a behavioral economics summit, which basically tells you that it's very, very difficult to change people's behaviors when they're actually texting and driving, which is quite a problem in terms of what's happening in society today, in terms of the accidents that are occurring when you're driving. However, there are things that you can do technically, which is sort of like what they termed as the Ulysses effect. And as everybody's ever studied behavioral economics, this was the case where Ulysses was on his boat going through this channel of sirens, and that it would basically get him to basically go mad as he's going through this area where all the sirens are making all this noise at him. So he had everybody tie him to the bow of the boat in front so that he couldn't actually do anything by trying to roll the boat into a disastrous area with his arm, so he was tied up. So you can tie yourself up, or you can actually put earplugs into the crew's ears so that they wouldn't hear the sirens. So what does that mean is that when you're actually working with a parking app and you're trying to navigate to somewhere, you want to disable other phone services like texting and other things that would distract you to get you into a distracted driving case. So those are the things that we're actually been researching on adding into the application set to help people to be safe and getting to their location, wayfinding to the location safely.
Great, and I think that ties in nicely, Matt, with the kind of the future roadmap of looking at how to connect, again, the Internet of Things into these seamless applications that can be used by the users wherever they are in a safe way. We're working, for instance, with a number of toll road providers, other transit agencies and cities that are looking to make these kinds of connections. And as the devices out there become more readily available, whether those devices are in-dash, wearables, and the like, then it's really just a matter of taking the same sorts of data and information feeds and services and packaging them in a way to get to the user, where the user is. That's the key to all this. I think we have time for one more quick question, and then we're going to have to close up to respect everybody's time. And I think I'm just picking from among the dozens of questions we have. I think another one that's interesting and maybe forward-looking, and maybe we can end it on this, and maybe just a real quick response from each of you, Jerry, Stephanie, and Matt. What about, in the future, user-generated data for these types of smart city applications and the like? And maybe just a quick comment or thought on that as we're thinking about the future of smart cities. Stephanie, why don't you go first, since you're our star performer for the day.
Oh, thank you. You know, that actually was an idea we had when we were just developing and thinking about the whole user experience from the beginning with CRG. You know, how, especially in terms of things like dynamic pricing. I mean, that is just something that that's a goal of mine. I would love to have featured on the parking app. But you know, it may be really hard to do unless I have the people within the parking lots, you know, feeding this data on an hourly basis. So instead we thought, well, what if the users actually did it, you know, sort of like a crowdsourcing kind of a thing. So that is something we definitely would like to be open to. Again, working with CRG to make sure that that's something that's feasible, but I think that there's definitely some merit in that, and I think it would be a great way to feature some of this data as opposed to, you know, putting that burden on others and just making it a lot more streamlined.
Beautiful. Matt, quick thought.
Quick thought. I concur with Stephanie wholeheartedly. I think that that's going to come out whether it's in our app or somebody else's app. So it's going to show up anyway. And the two things that we worry about in making sure that our systems will accommodate is the cleanliness of the data and also security.
Beautiful. Jerry, final thoughts on user-generated data, and does that impact anything in terms of AWS and the cloud and compliance and security?
Well, one of the things I mentioned in the presentation was we have over 50 products and services on the AWS cloud, and we just launched the AWS Internet of Things service at this year's reInvent. And with IoT, or Internet of Things, you can use things such as lightweight protocols such as MQTT or HTTP to send those messages from your wearable or from your device up into the AWS cloud, as well as some other services such as Amazon's Kinesis, to where you can stream data from a device into your application hosted on the AWS cloud. As far as the security and compliance, not really going into too much here. It is a shared model with AWS and the developer or the business. So there's parts of it that we're responsible for keeping secure, and there's part that the business is responsible for keeping secure, and we work together hand in hand to make sure that we can together deliver a secure solution, whether it's for wearables or other applications.
Perfect. Thank you. And believe it or not, we have 15 seconds left. We are exactly on time. Thank you, everybody. This was I hope it was valuable for you all. We will attempt to answer all questions and get back to you. We have on the screen right now the contact information specifically for Jerry Rhodes. You can go directly to Jerry with any questions to AWS. Stephanie has graciously volunteered to take questions about the actual solution and San Diego's experience. You're free, please, to contact me directly or our marketing and communication staff at Civic Resource Group if you're interested for additional information. We will make the slideshow and the recording available to everybody that's registered, and you can pass it around freely. So thank you all. Enjoy your first day of December and the first day of the end of 2015. And thanks especially to Stephanie, Jerry, and Matt for some very thoughtful, productive, and insightful conversation today. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.